I know that there are things that we want to talk about, professional things and work-related things, and we're happy to share what experience we have in those areas. So for the time being, let's kind of do our best to focus on those things. Is that right? Can we agree with that? Okay. Let's talk about like what we do. I guess when you start talking about multitasking, obviously you think, okay, that's juggling a lot of things at the same time. My college degree is in film and video production. I've done a lot of shooting and editing and directing and everything related to production. For a long time,
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem. But most of my life I've been writing and producing music. I've produced 15 or 20 albums and written hundreds of jingles and scores for television and radio and stuff like that. And I also do a lot of graphic design work on the side, business cards and logos and websites and you name it. And then of course the acting and the voice acting. So those are kind of the four, is that four? Those are the kind of four that I juggle most. When any one of them slows down, thank God there are the other things that keep it going. So we don't bite all of our fingers off. Worried about where work's going to come from. How about you?
I got involved in the animation industry in Japan in 1987, a long time ago. And when I was there, I worked for a while as an animator, and I worked as a cell painter. I was really good at that. I was a cell painting department chief at a couple different companies. I worked with computers, worked with camera. I directed. I wrote a little bit, produced a lot. Did a lot of translation. I used to train people to do animation and to do cells and to paint and to paint backgrounds. Used to do that as well. And then when I moved back to the U.S., I do so much stuff now. I translate manga from time to time. I've translated videos. If you catch me down in the artist alley, I'm doing henna work and tarot card readings. It's interesting. Last year, I produced an album for charity called Voices for Peace for company Voices For. That was the first time I ever had been involved with music, and I kind of went from 0 to 60 in like 4 months with that. Luckily, I had a lot of good people who work with us and helped me get through that. So music, I'm very involved in that now. I've worked a little bit in live action films, just the tiniest little bit. I've done mostly animated commercials. I've never done voice acting in the U.S. I did a little tiny bit of pick-up stuff in Japan, just the crazy professor or the occasional TV thing. That is really not my thing. I'm bad with a microphone here. It makes me very, very nervous. And I can't stand hearing my own mouth sounds and stuff. So I have great respect for those who can do that. I'm the one who sits on the other side. No, do it again. No, do it again. Now this time, can you put some what do they call talent into it? No, I would never say that. I'm just kidding. No, I've directed a lot of voice actors in Japan, and thankfully have never had that issue. But I'm a photographer. I like taking pictures, and I have a website for that. And I like to do a little bit of everything. And I do other stuff as well. I work as an advisor for people, kind of like a counselor, so I don't have a license, so I can't. There's certain things I can't do, but so a little bit of everything.
So you've come to the right place.
Yes. Between the two of us, I think we've done everything.
Yeah. Let's just go ahead and open it up and dialogue a little bit about things that are on your mind, questions you have about different things. Yes.
For working with your artistic abilities and voice acting, where do you find your inspiration, or what for you is your key source of inspiration when you're doing your work?
When I was doing commercial type work, not just TV commercials, but working to make a commercial product, it was really the inspiration was more, I need to be part of this and working with the other people, so I found a lot of inspiration from them. But when doing more independent stuff, when I did my own manga too, when I did that inspiration came from, strangely enough, I read this book about these people who basically lived forever. They lived very long lives. And the way that the author handled it, I thought was very poor. And he focused on things that I never would have focused on, that I thought were very petty for people who live 500 or 600 years. And that stuck in my mind for about 3 years. And then when I started writing, when I started thinking, maybe I'll do a comic, that came out, and so there was that. It's not so much a grudge, but and honestly, with music, when I'm writing my songs now, I write that from just how I'm feeling that day. I started listening to bands who were very real and very honest and very direct, kind of stream of consciousness, and so I started writing that way. So I write from pain. I kind of with music right now. I mean, and I'm not saying, oh, I'm all angsty, but no, I mean, everyone has pain inside them. Everyone's had stuff happen to them. And I find that I've never been able to release that in another way except through performance and music, and so that I like doing that.
Yeah, I agree with Jan that pain is a powerful motivation. Some of the most powerful love songs ever written were penned by somebody who was going through great heartache and just incredible longing. And I have written tons of those kind of songs. If you guys have any of my CDs, there are a couple of songs on there, and I'll actually give a little explanation of the story behind it. And when I went through certain times in my life, I was very grateful to have music because it was the chance to express and kind of put down in a tangible form what I was feeling. And I'm sure all of you know what we're talking about. You may draw, or you may write poetry, or you may write a book, or you may take photographs, or you may sing, or you may play an instrument. Some way to express that. However, let me go ahead and do a little twist on you and say when you have to work at these things, you can't depend on inspiration sometimes. Sometimes you have a deadline, and it's like, okay, make this and have it by next Friday. And, you know, the client's not going to accept, well, he just really wasn't inspired today.
I didn't feel like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's great when you're doing your own thing, you know, take as long as you want. But when it comes to working in certain fields, sometimes inspiration must take a passenger seat to just, you know, doing it, getting it done. And I've certainly written TV commercials where I'm like, yeah, that wasn't so great, but they got it on time, and you know that was the important thing for them. So you kind of have to balance the inspiration side of it if you want to work in a particular field, because while it is wonderful to be inspired and beautiful things come from inspiration, sometimes you know you have to just push it out because there's a deadline.
That's very true. Very true. It's interesting because when you work as a commercial artist, and that can be music or painting or whatever you're doing. Exactly what you're saying. You know, you get to this point where your paycheck is 2 weeks away, and you don't have anything going on. You can't. You look at the blank page, and you've got to get something down on it. No matter what it is, you've got to do it because if you want to get paid, if you want to get this done, if you want future jobs, that's what you got to do. And as a commercial artist, you learn to work through that. You learn to work through your blocks. You learn to work through, just to take anything and kind of force it out there. So that's that first time when you do that, when you're sitting there and you're just tortured over it, that's when you know you're a real commercial artist.
That's right. When you can do it, even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah, you're like, I
you reach some level of professionalism. I also want to say that, and I know if I may, I think I know Jan well enough to know that she's is a spiritual, very spiritual, religious person as well, and I want to give credit to God for creativity. I didn't take any music. I never took any piano lessons when I was little. I just played just because God decided He was going to give me that ability, and so
I never took lessons.
yeah,
he's a fantastic pianist.
And I can't even explain it. I see it, I hear it, I play it, and I don't dare take credit for myself. Because as soon as I start taking credit, that's when those gifts go away. That's what I think anyway. It's just my opinion. So when somebody says, what's your inspiration? The overarching inspiration over it all is just the beauty of the world that God has created, and the beauty of people in it, and emotions, and music, and painting, and art in all its different forms, and the way that humans express themselves and their emotions, and so I give credit in my opinion. I give credit in that sense to where it is due, and that is the source of all of that.